What up, everybody? I'm your host, JP. This is my co-host, Josh.
Hey, everyone.
And welcome back to another episode of the FilmBros podcast. Welcome back, guys. Now, I'm going to catch you guys up to speed. If you guys, missed the last episode, I suggest you guys go listen to those episodes, come back, because we're going to continue the saga of Shazam 2, Fury of the Gods, starring your very own Zachary Levi, okay?
Wait, but before we get into the news, let's hear a word from our sponsor.
Today's episode is sponsored by ZippyStream. If you are wondering how we make money to run our podcast, it's all because of this innovative platform. Here at FilmBros Podcast, we absolutely love using ZippyStream. It's the easiest way to convert listeners into an email list, but best of all, they find us sponsorship so we can keep making money doing what we love.
Suppose you're also a podcaster thinking about starting one. ZippyStream will help you find and manage your relationship with brands that are relevant to your audience. If you want to learn more, contact us as soon as possible. Everyone that signs up this month will get to claim £10 as a joining bonus, which is around $12 or something like that.
Just reach out to us by email or social media DMs, and I'll put you in touch with the guys at ZippyStream right away. Now back to the pod. I know what you guys are thinking. We're going to discuss the plot of the movie, blah, 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 blah. No. We're going to talk about the real-life villain, Zachary Levi, who's just out here menacingly pointing fingers at everybody for Shazam 2 flopping.
Yeah.
Like, we talked about it a little bit in the past couple episodes, but the saga just continued on, and, I was like, man, we should probably get in the seat and start recording it right now. But I was like, I'm going to let it unfold. And it looks like it finally died down. So it's good to finally talk about the tail end that's been happening. Josh, I'm hoping you've been online and you've been seeing all this stuff.
I've been seeing it all. It's crazy that he's trying to find a finger to blame or someone to blame. But, like, he basically just won't take the L. He's acting like The Rock, which is crazy because The Rock feels more humble now in the eyes of Zachary Levi.
Well, The Rock did get humbled when Black Adam came out, in my opinion. I feel like, and that's why it kind of sucks to hear that he's being drugged back into this, because I'm kind of like, he already did his due diligence. He had to deal with all this nonsense. He dealt with all the backlash. I mean, don't get me wrong. He decided to go ahead and fabricate numbers too, but, I mean, he did what he had to do, whatever. But let's go ahead and jump right into the remaining episode of this saga, and hopefully this is the ending, but, probably not. So we haven't heard anything from The Rock at all, which is good. Maybe it's good that he is staying away from all this mess. Yeah. But it comes from this very snarky, in my opinion, planted, what's it called? Article from The Wrap. And the cover basically says, how Dwayne Johnson kneecapped Black Adam and Shazam 2 while trying to take over DC. Now, don't get me wrong. If The Rock would have succeeded and would have changed the hierarchy of power, and Black Adam would have done good, this title would have been completely different. We already know that this would have been like, oh, how The Rock came from the bottom and basically became the producer of DC Studios.
Yeah.
But because he didn't, he's basically the fall guy, and it seems like Warner Brothers are taking part of it. I don't know, but let's dive a little bit deeper. So, after this came out, Zachary Levi decided to go on his Instagram and repost it and say, the truth shall set you free. Now, a lot of people gave him backlash because, he posted the quotes, he put that down, and it just seemed like he was pointing fingers, trying to place blame. He goes ahead and says that, that he tried to get certain cameos from Black Adam into Shazam for Fury of Gods, but at the end of the day, The Rock said no. He vetoed everything. He said that wasn't going to happen. He didn't want any of Black Adam's characters mixing with Shazam because maybe he was going to start a whole new timeline. Maybe he was planning to do something different. Who knows at the time what he was trying to do when he was running, or while he was in the running for DC. Yes, he strong-armed it. Yes, he tried to get up there. But like I said, it would have been a completely different story if he would have got the job.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It would have been different.
It would have been different. It would have been like, damn, he did everything that he could in order to get it. But now it's being spun and being like, well, he did everything he could, failed, and it probably fucked up the rest of the movies. So with that in mind for now, before we get into more Zachary Levi, what's your take on this?
they're just trying to find a scapegoat, and it sucks that The Rock is the one that's kind of being drug out. You know what I mean? It's a little weird for them to backtrack all the way back to basically Black Adam when this movie was set to come out before it. You know, so how much control did The Rock really have when, you know, they basically pushed it back so they could be reshot? You're telling me that Shazam, which was going to come out before Black Adam, they didn't plan to have JSA in it, and then just because The Rock was in his little power, he was able to move a whole movie back and say no to the JSA joining?
So according to Zachary Levi, that's exactly what happened. And he's basically said that they had it all planned out, but they were, in his words, thwarted by The Rock. Basically,
that doesn't make sense.
That's why movies got pushed back.
But he wasn't in enough power to do that, I don't think.
And that's why they're saying that he strong-armed it. That he went to Zaslav, bypassed a lot of executives, and that's why, you know, they're looking at him dirty. Don't get me wrong, like I said, maybe The Rock did do that. Maybe at the time he was trying to build his universe and he was doing whatever he needed to do. But that has nothing to do with how, in my opinion, how Shazam 2 performed. If it was Black Adam versus Shazam in the first poster boards and they had to X that in order to get the Daughters of Atlas in there, I understand maybe The Rock did handicap it. Maybe he was the one who handicapped it. But if it was just for a small cameo, nobody cares. Nobody cares if Black Adam would have showed up at the end.
That doesn't make much sense.
If it was for the whole movie, that's a different story. Okay, I can kind of tell you. But let's listen to what Zachary Levi has to say, because he basically says that he doesn't blame Dwayne The Rock Johnson, but he wound up coming out with a slew of tweets discussing, and I'm just going to go ahead and play them for you so you can, and the rest of the people can hear them.
People are slagging on James Gunn because Jennifer Holland, his wife, who is an actress who's on a show, who's on Peacemaker and was in Suicide Squad, yes, but it's connected to the Justice Society. We used Jennifer and Steve in that scene, in the mid-credit scene in Shazam. But that was not the original intent. The original intent was to have Hawkman and Cyclone be there to inviting me. By the way, this is a little bit of a spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen the movie. Sorry! Whatever. It's all online anyway. So our intent, our desire, Walter Hamada, Peter Safran, David Sandberg, myself, everybody, we had an awesome scene that would have tied me in to the JSA with Hawkman and with Cyclone, and we were thwarted. This is not me. I'm not talking about these things as I'm trying to blame anybody for our movie doing however well or not well it's doing. I am merely coming to the defense of the people that ought to be defended. I'm coming to the defense of truth, because truth is good, and we should all live in it, guys, even when it's hard, even when it's something that might fly in the face of something that we already might have believed before, and now it challenges whatever our idea or our opinion is. We need to live in the truth, okay?
That sounds like a man who's unemployed. So don't get me wrong. If this was the plan from the jump, and like I said, if The Rock came in and said, "Hey, we're gonna have Hardcore in there instead of the JSA because I want them completely separate," let's dissect that a little bit, right? Let's talk about the two people he wanted in there, Hawkman and Cyclone, right?
Yeah.
This movie was supposed to come out before Black Adam, but wound up getting pushed back.
Yeah.
So maybe they did have him in there, but then maybe The Rock came in and said, "Well, no, Zachary Levi's not on my level. Shazam's not on my level. I don't want them to be mixed with us just yet. Keep them out. Put somebody else in there." I mean, him coming to the defense of James Gunn, come on, dude. Harcourt was in Black Adam as well. She's in the post-credit scene. She was in the Suicide Squad, and she was in Peacemaker. All of them, James Gunn had a hand in. You can't tell us that. You can't say that, "Oh, she's an experienced actor." Her only credits are from the Suicide Squad up until Shazam 2. So she's not an established actor. So the slack that he's getting is completely right in my opinion. Now, the whole Zachary Levi part saying that, you know, that he had the intent of having these characters in there. Yeah, the intent was there. But if it was just a cameo, that whole video is pointless. because nobody cares about a cameo. I'm not gonna give a shit if Black Adam showed up in the cameo. You know what I mean? I could care less. That's not. Nobody cares about a cameo. If it was Shazam versus Black Adam, like I said, and Black Adam, Dwayne The Rock Johnson said, "Hey, you know what? I'm not gonna be in this movie. He's not on the caliber of actor as I am. I'm not gonna be in this movie," and he decided to pull out, and they had to put the Daughters of Atlas. That's a whole different story.
Yeah,
that's obviously an ego thing, and I can say The Rock is wrong for that, but we haven't even heard The Rock side about it, right?
Well, yeah, basically. I mean, he's come to the quote-unquote defense of people, but like you said, this movie got pushed back, and if The Rock was like, well, nah, we're not tying you in just yet, then that's different, right? Mm-hmm. But that means they had to hire people to fall back on. Who do they hire back? James Gunn's wife. You know what I mean? So it sounds like he had a hand in it. In one of our other episodes, we were talking about how he doesn't have a say in it, but I'm pretty sure they were like, "Oh, is she down for this?" And he was probably like, "Yeah, just put her in, because you can't get the two." Mm-hmm. So it only adds a little bit more to the speculation that James Gunn does have that connection or whatever to force his wife into anything and force her to be the Nick Fury or whatever, which doesn't make much sense. But for everything Zachary Levi is trying to defend, it's not really adding up. The math ain't mathing. You know what I mean?
James Gunn is literally the head of DC Studios. He says who's in there and who's not in there.
Exactly.
He says
he did with Henry Cavill.
Yeah, that's not a valid thing for me. I will say before we go on, before the listeners out there think that we're just dragging Zachary Levi because whatever. I personally don't like him as a person as of right now, but I don't have anything against Shazam 2. I don't think it's the worst movie. I don't think it's the best movie. I think it's right there in the middle, very generic, very, we're going to give a full review and breakdown about it later on, but I didn't hate the movie. We went to go watch it. I didn't hate it. It probably could have done well. What he needs to be pointing, and the reason why he's not pointing it at James Gunn and the whole fact that he announced the slate and, and because ultimately I think that's the biggest downfall for this movie. The slate being revealed and basically saying that these movies are going nowhere.
Exactly.
But he wants to stay employed, in my opinion. So he's going to blame everybody under the sun except for James Gunn, because James Gunn's my buddy and Peter Safran's my buddy. Bro, if you're going to speak up for the truth, speak up for the truth. Say James Gunn was the one who fucked with your movie. He was the one that pushed your movies back because he had a plan on his own. Basically is making you guys a secondary character. Yeah, could Shazam be in the new DCU depending on how the movie performs? But why do you think... In my opinion, it seems like all the dots are connecting. I don't know if anybody else sees it, but shoot down the ones that you have already. Make sure people don't go and watch them so you can have that evidence and be like, well, nobody watches these movies, so I can completely reboot it. And he's gonna completely reboot the characters and everything like that. It'll be easier to go up to his buddy Levi and be like, well, your movie flopped. If his movie did good, and he had to go over there and be like, well, you're not going to be Shazam anymore, that'd be the awkwardest conversation ever. Mm-hmm. At least now he can say, well, your movie didn't do good. Yeah. If people really liked you, they would have showed up and showed out, but they didn't. And I think it's just James Gunn trying to do what he can. And Zachary Levi not pointing his finger at the right person is what's wrong with right now.
Yeah, because he wants to do all this hoop hopping and basically... point at the old regime. He mentioned Hamada just now. Like that doesn't make sense, dude. Come on. James Gunn is the one with the plan. He announced his slate before 4 movies had to come out. This could have been the year of DC, but he shot himself in the foot. Or he shot DC's foot and was like, run. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, now we have Shazam 2 underperforming. We have to wait for The Flash, which I hear... or... what James Gunn is saying, but he's biased. I admit that he's biased.
Tom Cruise.
Well, I take the word from Tom Cruise, but
out of the blues,
James Gunn is he's biased. Of course, he's gonna hype up the movie and stuff. So we have the Flash, and we have Blue Beetle, and the one that's supposed to quote unquote lead into other things is Aquaman 2, which we get in December.
But we're hearing bad things about.
Exactly. So not only do we have 3 more movies to sit through, but we have to now basically wait for the future to happen.
Yeah, and it's hard to wait, but let's go ahead and listen to the other things he was saying. He had another video right here.
Wonderful people in these organizations and everyone within the Shazam production. For years, we have been doing everything we can to fight for you, the fans. Yes, even all of you fans that don't like me. All of you fans who love Henry Cavill, we tried desperately to get Henry Cavill in the first movie. He wasn't a headless Superman because we wanted him to be a headless Superman. We were thwarted. All of these hardworking people were thwarted. We were not allowed to have that happen, okay? That was not on us. That was not because we didn't want that to happen for you. Listen, guys, I am a comic nerd. I've been growing up with this stuff. I love all this stuff. I want to blow all of your minds with all the crossovers and all the goods. And trust me, it bummed me out greatly when we couldn't get Henry Cavill. I wanted him so bad in the first movie, and we couldn't get him. That was not because we didn't try. That was not because we chose not to have him there. That was not on. Wonderful people in these organizations.
Years too late. Years too late to have said this. Years too late. The first Shazam came out, well, what, 2018, something like that, right? So years too late.
You want to know why he said that? It's because a second ago, and like I said, he was trying to point fingers. The Rock is the latest in the finger pointing, but he blamed toxic fans before. The Snyderverse fans, everybody that was like, you put a headless Henry Cavill. Yeah, you're right. Too late. He should have said this after the first Shazam.
Exactly.
So, something like this should have came out after the first Shazam, and maybe people would have been on his side. But now all of a sudden you're trying to save your career. You're trying to save your job. Now all of a sudden you want to adhere to those toxic fans that you were just pointing a finger at, saying that it was their fault. Zachary Levi, bro. Like, I can't. You're undefendable. I can't even like find a defense for him because it just sounds like he's losing his job and he's doing whatever he can to grab the walls and just breathe.
Yeah, I mean, this is too late. Like I said, there's no way that years after the first Shazam, he's like, we fought for him and this and that. Like we at that point
Didn't fight hard enough.
I understand. Hamada hated Henry Cavill's guts. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't want him back, this and that. So I understand that from him. That's the one defense. You know what I mean? But at the same time, you should have been very vocal about that when the first Shazam came out. You have no idea how seeing a headless Superman pissed me off the first time. And then silhouette Superman and Peacemaker. And this and that. Like, come on, bro. You had to have said something way before all this.
But this is the thing. He's a company man. And he's going to try to do whatever he can to get a job. And last time we talked about this, I asked you, can you think of anything else he's been in? The only thing he's been in, besides these movies, and maybe a couple other smaller movies, is the TV show Chuck.
I think I've heard of that.
I've heard of it too. I've never seen it, but I've heard of it. And so, this is one of his bigger roles. You know what I mean? Like, this is something big that could have put him on the map. I mean, he tried to be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It didn't work. Now, this is the one where he's front and center. He's the titular character. You know what I mean? So, he's doing what he can now. And maybe at the time, he didn't want to speak about Superman because Hamada said no, and he just wanted to still be employed.
Yeah.
I get that. But, like I said, years too late. Now you want to come out with all this truth, be the truth, whatever. Why weren't you saying anything when Zack Snyder was getting sacked? Why didn't you say anything when the Vision was getting warped? Why? Because you were best friends with the head people, Peter Safran, and you knew that you were secure? Now all of a sudden that you're not secure, now all of a sudden you're speaking up just like Ray Fisher did, just like Gal Gadot did, just like Ben Affleck did. Now all of a sudden you want to do it now that your movie franchise is coming to an end? No, it's too late, bro. His defense isn't defending. It's not good.
Yeah. I'm sorry, dude. It's just Zachary Levi, like, again, he doesn't sound like a bad dude. It's just all of a sudden he's coming through and he's trying to, he's grasping at straws to save his job. And I'm sorry that you might lose it. And, maybe if you are as buddy-buddy with James Gunn after the reboot, you'll become, I don't know, I saw a fan cast of him being Hal Jordan. I mean, anything can happen. He could totally come back as something else. Personally, after the reboot, you know what I mean? I want to see. I hope James Gunn keeps Mary Marvel. I hope she's the front and center. You know what I mean? I'll say it when we do a review, but I kind of enjoyed her in Shazam 2 a lot more. So I hope she's front and center. I hope she's the Shazam, because in the comics, she's basically that. You know what I mean? She's front and center. It's not Billy Batson anymore. So I hope that comes into fruition, and if he's really down and James Gunn are really his buddies, he'll become something else, because the Shazam isn't working.
Nah. Yeah, we'll probably break it down a little bit more when we do our Shazam 2 review, which will be coming out this week, Saturday. Be on the lookout. But let's go ahead and go to this last video right here of where, you know, he basically says he doesn't want to blame anybody.
I may or may not have, reposted something in my stories about a story that I had nothing to do with, that The Wire had reported on.
The rap.
And then I got flack about it because people were saying, "Oh, what are you doing? You're trying to blame this guy because your movie's not doing well. Like you're trying to blame us." Listen, I haven't blamed anybody. There's not one single person that I have blamed for anything with the way that our movie has performed. I legitimately haven't. And if you're listening to videos or watching videos of me or looking at things and you're getting that idea, you are being fooled. You are being brainwashed. You are looking at propaganda. Those are clips. Those are edited. Those are taken completely out of context. And so I just encourage you, if you're out there, if you're hearing this right now, or if you see, by the way, this will probably all get chopped up too. That is the irony. But I swear to you, I'm not blaming any of you. I'm really not. I have my thoughts about what's going on. But here's the thing. The reason I decided to share that was not because I want to blame anybody for anything. It's because I do not want to be blamed for things that are not on me. And I don't, and as a leader and I believe a protector of my family, my Shazamly, and everyone who worked so hard on these movies, and everybody who worked so hard at New Line and Warner Brothers and DC.
Bombastic side eye. The eye roll was heavy. You guys couldn't see it, but my eye roll was heavy. Tell them how heavy that shit was, bro. Like, you see me.
Bro, it looked like the exorcism was on the chair for a second.
Like, it's clear he wants to say that, but there's multiple clips. I know he just said it. Those could be edited and stuff, but come on. You know what I mean? Like, I bet if I were to watch that whole podcast, I'd still find it beat for beat. He blamed Toxic Snyder fans and whatever else.
You don't have to watch it, because I did, and I'll tell you right now. Though it was cut up, it was right on the money. Believe me, things get cut up, but Zachary Levi. Look, that's the thing, is that you can make the excuse if you're a bad talker. If you're a bad talker and you don't know how to, articulate your words and stuff like that. Because I've seen, people like Billie Eilish. She's a singer, but her shit gets chopped up because she's not a talker. She's more of a performer. You know what I mean? Like, you see certain people get their voices chopped up, but he's an actor who knows how to speak. And you can tell he knows how to speak. And he knows how to do little sneak disses and little things. Say things professional, basically give the middle finger in a professional way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He knows how to do that. And so when he says, "Oh, it's chopped up, it's edited," bro, it could be chopped up, but we know what you mean, because at the end of the day, you know how to articulate yourself well. So you know what you're saying is what it is. And if you don't know how to articulate yourself, maybe you shouldn't be going on live and spewing all this nonsense.
Basically.
So, and he basically says, "Oh, I'm not trying to blame anybody," but, in the beginning he blamed like I said, the fans. Now he put the blame on The Rock. Now he's putting the blame on marketing. Like, he put the blame everywhere else except for if you're the leader, of the Shazamly, take the L. Take it on the chin and just keep pushing. Just say, "Hey, man, like, our movie's not doing too well. Go out and see it. I think it's a really fun movie. I think it's a really fun time, and I think that you guys should go out and watch it." And, don't blame people. The very first weekend when it flopped on Thursday, that Friday, he basically came out and started already blaming fans, saying that people are wishing on his downfall and everything like that. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. There's haters out there that are going to wish on your downfall. But that doesn't mean that you blame them.
Exactly.
What kind of influence did they have? If they're a small voice in a fucking ginormous sea of users, why wouldn't you just play to your strengths and be like, "Look, guys, come watch the movie. It's a good movie. Exactly. It's a good family movie. Come watch it." No, it's the fans that are wishing on my downfall. No, it's the marketing. Oh, now it's The Rock who kneecapped us. Come on, bro.
Make it
Like,
make sense, bro. It's not adding up the way you think it is.
yeah, no. And then look, and this is where I say like he knows how to sneak this, because this is what he says when he's asked if he has watched Black Adam yet.
Did you watch Black Adam?
I have not.
You haven't.
I have not.
Are you gonna look? Are you gonna watch it?
Eventually, I mean, I've got a whole, full plate of other things that I need to get to in life.
See, you see what I mean?
He said he has a whole lot of other things on his plate that he needs to get to in life before Black Adam. You could have easily, like I said, that's like a sneak diss in my opinion. He could have easily said, no, I haven't seen Black Adam, but I hear good things about it, and I'll get to it eventually. I just hope, it's as good as, people say. I know that whatever the word around town is, but I'll get to it or something. No. I got a whole plate full of other things that I need to do before that. And you wonder why The Rock didn't want to stand next to you, bro. Like, look how you're talking. If he would have stood next to you, you would have blamed him for, my character didn't come out good because The Rock was being a handful on set, or The Rock was doing this, or The Rock was doing that. Look, man, everybody knows The Rock is a personality, okay? Everybody knows he's a superstar, movie star, whatever the fuck you want to call him. He's top of the list kind of actor. Zachary Levi, probably a little bit down low. The Rock didn't even talk shit about Shazam. Like, he didn't even say anything like that. He stayed in his lane. He did what he had to do. I don't know. Zachary Levi to me just seems petty. He seems like he's trying to cover his tracks after pointing fingers. Now he's trying to retcon it and say he wasn't pointing fingers. But if you guys keep up with all this stuff, you guys know and you guys understand that he is most definitely pointing fingers to everybody.
Yep. It's just Zachary Levi. Hopefully you get to keep your job, and if Shazam 3 comes through, then cool, but I doubt it with the whole reboot stuff.
And just so nobody says that I'm shitting on him, maybe, like I said, maybe he can come back around and he could be this personality, and, maybe he'd do better and all that. But for right now, so you guys don't think that we're just shitting on him just to shit on him, go watch Shazam 2. I'll tell you guys right now, go watch it.
Yeah.
It's a decent movie. It's a decent watch. Not the worst in the DCU, not the best, but, if you guys want to see a good action flick that you could just sit down and just watch, it's a good superhero movie. Yeah. It's not that bad. A little generic, but it's not that bad. We'll give out our full review and thoughts later about that. Zachary Levi, I leave you with, just get it together, bro. Just get it together. We need to stop placing blame on people and just move on. Yeah, just move on. We'll keep you guys updated if anything more comes up with this guy. Moving on, R.I.P. to Lance Reddick. Now, for those that don't know, he played the concierge in the John Wick movies. He was the dude behind the counter. Yeah. Watched his dog. Mm-hmm. There's a picture for him. Now we have word that he will still be voicing Hellboy in his post-humanist form. Yeah. Apparently, he recorded all the lines of dialogue for Hellboy Web of Word.
The video game.
The video game. It's said to come out this year. Now, this isn't the first time he's been in a video game. He's been in Destiny 2, the Horizon franchise. He's known for the John Wick, The Wire, Fringe. He's been in so many things. And the Hellboy account tweeted out, "Our hearts are with Lance's family, friends, and colleagues and fans. Lance was a brilliant performer, generous with his time and attention. He had talent beyond compare, and we remain honored to have him as our Hellboy." No word on when the game's coming out, but I think that's a touching tribute. It sucks that he passed away at the age of 60. Young, still young. I think he's a talented actor. I've seen him in a bunch of different things. He played a lot of animated voice roles, and he's just a talented individual. So we lost another legend. At least we can look forward to a Hellboy game with his iteration, and if he kills it, damn, it's gonna suck that we lost the legend.
For sure. It's interesting that you can still hear this type of thing. You know what I mean? Because even with Kevin Conroy in his last. Well, I guess his last role would be the Arkham Batman in the Suicide Squad game. So it's nice that they kind of live on one more time.
Yeah, it's good. like I said, I don't know too much about the Hellboy game. This is the first time hearing about it. I know that there's another one in development, a movie actually. We talked about it in a couple episodes before, but Hellboy game. Are you excited for a Hellboy game?
Yeah. It was going on during the showcase a couple months ago.
Oh, they announced it.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
shoot.
yeah.
Okay.
So I think I think it might have gotten like overshadowed because they did show the Suicide Squad trailer. And
Oh, that's probably why.
Everyone was talking about Kevin Conroy. So
Kevin Conroy, the Battle Pass. Blah
yeah.
blah blah.
So like it got swept under the rug. But yeah, I know which one you're talking about. If you want, after everything, I can show you the trailer. But yeah, good Hellboy game coming out. If you guys want to check that out too.
Perfect. You know what? I never would have taken him to be the voice of Hellboy, but now I'm kind of anxious to hear what he has to put down on the table. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like I said, R.I.P. to Lance Reddick. Love to see what he comes up with. Like I said, talented actor, gone too soon. We'll see what happens next. We'll keep you guys in tune.
Yeah.
Next up, we also got confirmation that Ghostbusters sequel to Ghostbusters Afterlife is coming out. They apparently have started filming. Let me see if they have the image up. They got a couple images up already from them going ahead and starting. The main account basically says back in the firehouse day one, and got the returning directors to come back for the sequel. Now, I don't know if you've seen Ghostbusters Afterlife, Josh.
No, I never got around to it.
It's so good. It's actually a really good.
Yeah, no, I never got around to it. I think what kind of killed my vibe for it was the one with all the women. So like I was just after when this one
Because
came
you
out,
hate women.
No, that movie was just terrible. And then like this one didn't really spark it. And then I know it has the kid from Stranger Things, and I'm like, I can't really stand him if I'm being for real.
Okay.
What's his name? Wolfheart or something
Yeah.
like that.
Mhm.
Like I can't.
The one that had the meanest growth spurt over a summer.
Yeah, like you'll see what I mean when you get around to watching Stranger Things season 4. What do you call it? But yeah, he gets on my nerves, kind of.
Well, we got the director Gil Keaton and Jason Reitman coming back to start production. We also got word that Kumail Nanjiani and Patton Oswalt are going to be put in this movie. I like Patton Oswalt. Kumail, however you pronounce his name. Sounds like a good addition. Roided out jock came out of nowhere, all roided up from the MCU. I think he's a good actor. I think he's funny when he needs to be funny. So I'm looking forward to him. And Patton Oswalt, I like him as an actor too. But the thing is that when he comes out in a movie, movies don't actually turn out too well. Not too much with Patton Oswalt. And so I'm kind of worried on what direction they're taking this, because I'm not gonna lie, the Afterlife was really good. It was a good sequel. It was like they basically said, fuck that Girls reboot, we're gonna just jump back in like if we never left. And it pays a really good homage. It's a great sequel.
Well, I'll check it out for sure. I like Patton Oswalt as an actor. He's pretty cool. Now like Kumail, I don't know how to pronounce the name.
Yeah, Kumail.
I don't really like him as an actor. I think he's kind of annoying. I like, he's funny sometimes. Like the one he's in where he plays a security guard with Ice Cube and what's his name? The one where the two teachers are fighting or whatever.
Oh yeah.
So he's funny there, but like I don't really like him as an actor. I think him in Eternals was probably like my favorite role about him. But other than that, like he's kind of average to me.
You didn't like him in Obi-Wan?
Not really.
No? Damn. I think sometimes he tries too hard in some roles. I have seen him where he like does a little too much in some roles, but this was before he's like got fucking sexy like this, bro. Now that he's sexy, I don't know if like, you know, maybe he feels a little bit more confident and more laid back to be like, I'm gonna play these roles. Because even in Obi-Wan, I kind of felt like he was being more chillaxed and being like, oh, like a surfer dude, like chill out, bro. Like even though you know I'm robbing you, chill out, bro. So I think now that he has that bod and has that like confidence within him, I think he's turning into a different actor. I see a bright future for him if he can find that balance between that confident chillax and maybe putting in that effort like he used to, because he would do over effort sometimes, and now he's too chillax. So he needs to find that balance, in my opinion.
Maybe, but I mean, good for those who want to see it. It sounds like a good, interesting cast. So hopefully it comes out pretty good then.
Yeah, and we also got a Lind, who will also be joining the cast, and also a comedian, James Acaster. Haven't seen him in a lot of roles either. Apparently he only did a couple. He's a comedian. Apparently he came out in a reboot. I'm trying to see. Hold on, what kind of movie creds? Oh, he has a podcast called Off Menu. He came out in the Cinderella remake, but that's the only movie credit he has. So it's weird to have a comedian with not that many acting credits on there, but should be interesting to see him acting across from Paul Rudd, because to be honest, Paul Rudd was kind of the comedy in the Afterlife movie. Like, he was serious, but then he was comedic when he needed to be, and even like spoiler, even when he, when towards the end, when things are happening. I'm trying not to get too much spoilers, because I'm gonna have you watch it. I don't want to give it away, but some things happen where like it makes him do some goofy shit, and it's just super. He just brings a lot of joy. So it's gonna be interesting to see whether they're gonna be able to bounce off each other, or is somebody gonna try to steal that limelight with the comedy. If that makes sense.
Maybe, yeah. Some comedians have the tendency to do that, especially if homie isn't that known. So who knows? For sure.
Yeah. Should be interesting. We'll see what happens with that one. But new sequel to Ghostbusters Afterlife is going to be coming out, guys. So make sure you guys keep an eye on that, and we'll keep you guys updated. And we got to get you to watch it, because that's ridiculous they haven't watched it. It's actually a really good sequel. If you were kind of skeptical on Ghostbusters Afterlife, go watch it. It is really good. They bring back the OG actors too, and it's magic. It's magic. I honestly didn't think that it was gonna do that good. So I even waited for streaming, and when I finally watched it, I was like, damn, man, I should have watched this in the theaters. That I'm telling you, like, I do that way too much, and I don't know if you like ever have done that, but like, I do this thing where like I see a movie and I'm just like, I could wait for streaming. Oh, I can go to the theaters for that one. And I kind of did that with Maverick. Yeah, and I regretted it. Do you have any movies that you probably regretted off that?
The Puss in Boots one. I know that was.
I regret that one too.
The Puss in Boots one, but bro, Avatar was so good. Like at that point, I didn't care. I was on the Avatar high. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Other than that, no, not really. As of recently, because I mean, we kind of go to the movies a lot more. So
that's true. Yeah, we got to get that. We didn't get that monthly thing from Regal. I keep saying that, but we just haven't gotten into it. But yeah, so we don't miss a beat, and we don't have to choose. We'll just be able to go.
It pays for itself in 2 trips. So.
It really does pay for itself in 2 trips. With that being said, let's go ahead and hit one last depressing note, and that's Star Wars. For you Star Wars fans, I am a Star Wars fan. I'm not saying that it's depressing just because to be funny. It's actually depressing, and it's pretty sad. So we had a movie in the works, and it's supposed to come from Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy. She directed Miss Marvel, a few episodes of Miss Marvel. They announced it, and they wound up saying that Damien Lindelof and Justin Brent Gibson were going to be the screenwriters of the new Star Wars film. They wound up exiting. And just like clockwork, Lucasfilm picked up somebody else, and the creator of Peaky Blinders, Stephen Knight, will be replacing. There's also rumors saying that they're going to be announcing some movies at Star Wars European Comic-Con, and there might be 3 or 4 movies that are going to be set in the sequels. I know this movie that they're supposed to be writing is supposed to be set. Are supposed to be set after the sequels. Stop announcing things, Star Wars. Please stop announcing things that aren't gonna go through. Why don't we wait? Because here's another thing too. they are going to keep the release date that they said that they were going to do for this Star Wars movie, but they're still going to have to wait for another script from Stephen Knight. So why are we going to still ramp production when we don't even have a script yet because your two other screenplay writers have left? I don't know. It just seems like another disaster waiting to happen. I just can't handle this with Star Wars, though. Like, why is it such a revolving door with these writers and directors?
Probably creative differences. You know what I mean? Maybe you have Filoni and Favreau at the helm, and they're just like, look, you guys can come up with a story, but we need it around the sequel era, this and that. You know what I mean? Trying to map them out, and maybe they're just like, oh well, okay, well I'll write this, and then Favreau or one of them is like, nah, this isn't too good or whatever. Or maybe it's Kathleen Kennedy who's just denying them. It just depends on who's really at the helm. So if they're not turning it in, and then they're like, oh well, too much pushback, I don't really care for this, I'm gonna leave. Then they'll go. They're not contracted by anything. They're here to write the movie real quick and then dip out maybe. But Star Wars needs to get it together a little bit better, because we've heard before movies that are being written during production come out kind of rushed, and it's different. It's a lot more different. Take like Spider-Man 3 for example. Like Sam Raimi was rewriting shit as production was going. So like it can be a mess. It could be rushed. Something could not pan out the way you think it is because you don't have a room full of writers just bouncing off each other. You have a script trying to come through. The actors are standing around waiting for the next piece. You don't even know what the next piece is, So, yeah, no, they gotta do something else. I understand trying to get a movie out and pump out that shit so you can get the money, but you gotta take the time real quick.
Yeah, the thing is that, and there's rumors going around saying that this is like gonna depend on like Kathleen Kennedy, but I heard that she's supposed to be heading out when the new Indiana Jones comes out. So I don't know how much this is hinging off of Kathleen Kennedy.
Well, she's still in charge. She's probably pushing it out till the movie does come out.
And that's the thing is that why is she pushing out movies that she knows she's not going to be around for?
Even that wasn't that just a rumor that she was planning to leave? But wasn't that just a rumor?
Apparently, her contract's done.
Oh.
And she is going to be heading out. It's just depending when she's going to head out. Is she going to head out before Indiana Jones, or is she going to head out after?
This is probably going to be the last project she puts together, you know what I mean? Kind of like Hamada was with Black Adam.
Yeah, and like maybe she's just trying to prep it to get it out so she can be like, and don't get me wrong, Kathleen Kennedy, she's not a bad person. I don't think. I don't think that she's ruined Star Wars. I think that she did rush it with a couple things, and maybe that's because of fandom. I know that she's produced other bangers that, she's got Academy Awards for her producing, you know what I mean? So I'm not going to say that she's a terrible person. I just think that she doesn't fit with Star Wars, and I think that she should find other endeavors instead of trying to, like, push out these half-assed Star Wars movies. Because don't get me wrong, I can say I like a couple things from the sequel trilogy, but there's a lot of things that I could say, what the fuck was she even thinking? Well, why didn't she at least have a map planned out or something?
Well, I don't know, bro. I'm not gonna argue with you about the sequel.
But and then like they came out swinging with Rogue One, and honestly, even though Solo flopped, they did a good job with Solo.
I like Solo.
The sequel trilogy could be a different topic though.
Yeah, no, I don't really want to get into all that right now. It's just
Rey Skywalker.
It's tough. Shut up. I just say these things and don't want to get into it, and then you say the most triggering thing to me. Leave me alone. What do I call it? What I was trying to say was, I lost it because of you.
Because of Rey Skywalker? This is what happens.
What do you call it?
You lose franchises because of her.
Basically, you can't say that she isn't too much of a good fit when she was handpicked by George Lucas himself. You know what I mean? So, you got to work with what you dealt.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think that she's a bad pick. I just think that it's just that she had a quota, and basically she needed to pump out Star Wars movies, and that's what she pumped out. Like I said, some were hit, some were missed. I mean, I liked The Force Awakens. I know that was like a 50-50 split. I know The Last Jedi is a big 50-50 split. And I know Rise of Skywalker is like I want to say like a good 60% hated it and maybe the 40% liked it. I'm not 100% sure how the split is with Rise of Skywalker. I don't know if it's universally hated, if some people still like it. I don't know. So I know that she didn't have a good track record, and we did hear that they announced Taika Waititi's supposed to do a Star Wars film, right? And then they said that who else was supposed to do a Star Wars film? Ryan Johnson's trilogy was supposed to be done. There's been a lot of announcements that Star Wars movies are going to be coming out. Things were going to happen. Some good, some not so good. The Ryan Johnson was good. The Taika Waititi had me worried a little bit. Now it just seems like nothing's coming into fruition when it comes to Star Wars, and it's like, why?
Yeah, maybe because they're just trying to map it out or something. The shows are doing great though. Go watch Bad Batch and Mandalorian season 3 if you're into that. As for this movie being written by Peaky Blinders, I hear the show is good. So I expect good shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Damn, imagine if like Cecilia Murphy and Tom Hardy show up. That'd be crazy.
Tom Hardy as a Jedi would go hard.
That shit would go hard. Now, for our last topic of conversation before we move on, and it's still Star Wars related, okay? So don't get triggered.
As long as you don't say shit that is worth fighting over, then okay.
Okay. So there was something that I seen. I think it came from Screen Rant, and they basically asked the question: could The Mandalorian fill in the gaps to Rise of Skywalker the way that the Clone Wars filled in the gaps for the Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith? Do you think that it's possible to do that, it being between Return of the Jedi and obviously before The Force Awakens? I mean, the Clone Wars came out between those eras as well, but it was between movies, whereas The Mandalorian is between eras. You know what I'm saying? So I want to hear your take first. Do you think that they could pull it off, or do you think that this is just a big waste and they're going to have to just retcon stuff?
No, they could pull it off. They're doing it now. They've been doing it. They're doing it with the Bad Batch. I know. Look, here's the thing, right? Heavy spoilers for Bad Batch season 2. They're already starting that shit. You know what I mean? They started it in Kenobi. Spoilers for Kenobi. Like, they have been sprinkling in all the shit that's been going on for the sequels. What's missing is, okay, it'll do it, but it probably won't be as good as the Clone Wars. You know what I mean? If they were to make a Clone Wars show like the sequels, and, put it through that era, show the year gap between Kylo Ren and Rey, and then build all that where she was training and shit, that would perfect it. You know what I mean? That would totally give the treatment that it needs, just like the prequels got. But they're so focused on everything after the war, the Bad Batch, and then, Rogue One and Solo, whatever. And then they're so more focused on, with the Mandalorian, they're focused on after the Empire falls the second time to build up to The Force Awakens. So maybe down the line they'll have something lined up, but right now they're still more focused on everything after the war and everything after the second war. So, like, there's just building it up slowly, and I'm sure down the line we'll get something like that, but a Clone Wars show around the sequels, picking up literally, maybe show us when Ben is training, adapt the comic the best you can, and then go into that whole year, Rey, whatever, show us how the rebellion is doing against the First Order. Give us Leia, give us Han, give us Luke leaving, sprinkle all that out. So that way, now these episodes take place, season 1 takes place before The Force Awakens, 2 between Force Awakens, or because you can't really do that because Force Awakens and The Last Jedi pick up literally right at minutes after each other.
Yeah.
But let those two stand, and then put seasons through The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. So that way you can have that build up too. But I think The Mandalorian can do it. I know it's doing it now. Same with the Bad Batch. Like, it's sprinkling it out.
Okay, so you think, just so we're on the same page, so I know what you mean by it. So you think Mandalorian's doing it, but you think that it could use some help by like a Clone War style show that bridges the gap between the movies, right?
Exactly.
I see what you mean. I get you. Yeah. So then it's a no to the Mando doing it on its own then. So the Mandalorian cannot do it on its own, but it could if it got help from this Clone War style show.
It's doing it on its own already. What would help it a lot more is the Clone War show.
Oh, okay. So it's chugging along slowly,
Yeah.
and if it could have the help to go faster if they had more.
Yeah.
Okay.
Throw some
And I'm
coal in the
assuming,
fire.
and I'm kind of assuming that that's what the Bad Batch is for, which is supposed to be that helper. But not a lot of people watch animated shows. That's the only, in my opinion, bad thing, because we're hearing that from right now. That season 3. After you told me about it, I did some digging, and it's true. Apparently, season 3 is getting too lore heavy, and it's deterring some people from finishing up the show because they don't know about Mandalore. They don't know about Mandalorians. They don't know anything about that. Yeah, you can easily go on Disney Plus. They do have certain episodes that you got to watch in order to like catch up. So they already have them marked them out. You don't have to watch the whole Clone Wars show. I think the Mandalorian can do it, and I think the Bad Batch is kind of helping with it. It's just a shame that a lot of people aren't going to see that, right? I think that's the problem. So Mandalorian could probably do it, and maybe like a Clone Wars style show can help it too. But I think the Mando's efforts are basically being wasted, not for us, but for general audiences, people that are just going to see, because the people that loved Mandalorian 1 and 2, it wasn't so lore heavy. It was more just this is Moff Gideon. We got to get this bad guy, whatever. Right now in season 3, there is no bad guy. Right now, what we're seeing is them just trying to redeem themselves, right?
Exploration of Mandalore culture.
Exactly. The little things.
Yeah.
It's not even that heavy. It's
What-
mostly about Din Djarin trying to get himself back into the creed, into the fold.
Yeah. And slight spoilers for the recent episode. Was it this one? No, last week's episode, I think.
Okay.
What do you call it? The whole sprinkling in of the rebellion of the
Rebellion?
the
rebellion?
the resurgence, the resurgency living within the New Republic. That caught my interest so hard, dude. I was like, they are sneaking shit in there, and this is probably leading into more shit because you have a scientist who was delving into. We know he was dwelling into clone shit. You know what I mean? They don't have to explain that to us. If you get context, you understand. But yeah, if you're not watching these other things, you're gonna be like, what the fuck? Season 3. I think I told you what I told my homie one time, right? How I had to break down who Bo-Katan was. And this and that because he didn't watch the Clone Wars, and I'm like, well, I can give you the episode list. Like Disney Plus has them. It takes a quick Google search of which episodes, bang bang boom, which ones cover Mandalore lore. But no one is going out of their way to watch that, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think that's the issue. And do you think that this is going to be an issue with Kathleen Kennedy leaving? And like I told you, I think Filoni and Favreau should probably do it. But now I'm thinking maybe they should just be that creative side, and somebody has to tell them to stop. Because I think Kathleen Kennedy basically said, well, you guys got it. Go ahead and go crazy. But I think he's dipping too much into the lore now, into the whole, Star Wars side that people really haven't seen or know about. And, maybe he knows about it because he connected it, obviously, with the Clone Wars and everything. I kind of feel like that's probably what's hindering as of right now.
What they should do, this is my idea right off the top of the...
Listen up, Disney.
What do you call it? Let the movies be for general audience. You know what I mean? Some shows, if you have a show, like, and you're like, this has nothing to do with this and that, well, sprinkle in this and that, explain it for the people that don't know, and then be like, okay, we'll carry on with the show. You need to know this and that. We'll explain it real quick. We got to keep moving though. Then okay, let people walk with you, whatever, hold their hand and whatnot down the line. That's kind of what Mando season 1 and 2 were.
Mm-hmm.
Season 3, you're expected to watch this and that and run. You know what I mean, with the show. You should be doing that. Let the movies be the general audience. You know what I mean? Take it. If they decide to be like, it takes place after the sequels, watch the sequels. That's 3 movies, bro. That's 3 movies you can watch, and then you know, say you don't know what's going on going in. You hear shit online, but you want to check it out for yourself, and you're like, oh, I actually like these. Then watch the prequels. You know, watch the OGs, and then every other show and movie is sprinkled in between. But let the movies be for general audience. You know, like say they decided to pick it up in the High Republic. You know, you don't. There's barely books coming out that you don't really have to read right now. Let those movies be for general audience. Let that spark the fandom, spark new fans to come see. That way they can start watching the shit. Let shows like Mandalorian get deep into the fucking lore and stuff, so that way real fans will be like, oh shit, we know what he's talking about, the mythosaur and this and that. Like, you know, like that's what I think the plan should be.
That's probably pretty good. I just think that what they're trying to do is trying to feed everybody. TV shows, movies, everything. Like, they're just trying to feed everybody. And I think Star Wars is such a big franchise that it's not possible anymore. It's not possible to retain everybody. But I think that's a good plan. General audiences go home, go to the theater. You know, obviously the Star Wars fans are going to go and watch it as well. But then if it's not lore heavy, maybe people, the Star Wars fans are going to be like, well, what the hell? You know, Rey Skywalker, you know what I mean? Like, it's going to be stuff like that. And I'm not just trying to push your buttons with that one. I'm just, you know, it's an actual thing that people didn't really like. So it needs to be able to feed. That's the thing about Star Wars fans. The movie's got to be able to feed the Star Wars fans and the general audience, which if it goes too deep, general audience aren't going to understand. And then if we keep it too, you know, going deep just on the Disney Plus shows and stuff like that, then the general audiences aren't going to watch the Disney Plus shows. And so, you know what I mean? It's just hard to keep everybody happy, I think.
Well, that's what the season 1 of To a Mando usually was, you know? Like, it was something new for Star Wars fans to be like, ooh, we know a Mandalorian. Like, this shit gonna go hard. We know he's a bounty hunter. We've seen that before with Jango and Boba. Then they would be like, okay, yeah, we gotta watch this. And then, you know, they bring in a cute thing like Baby Yoda. General audiences will eat that shit up. You know, like I don't know if you're a Star Wars fan and you hate Baby Yoda Grogu, but you know that's how you.
I think even people who aren't Star Wars fans are like Baby Yoda. We like Baby Yoda.
Yeah,
like
so
everybody loves Baby Yoda.
Exactly. So everyone loves Grogu. Yeah, they fucking love that little baby. You know, so like that's a ticket then and there. Like, you need something like that for, you know, whatever audience that appeases. And then, yeah, season 2, or season 1, season 2, Moff Gideon, whatever, they show the Darksaber at the end of season 1. If you're a Star Wars fan, you know what that is. And if you're not a Star Wars fan, you're like, that's a cool fucking sword. You know? So, like, you're already feeding both sides. And then now it gets you interested in season 2. And then, season 2 happens. It goes on. Season 2 was really good in my opinion. By the time Luke Skywalker shows up, the fans are like, "Oh shit, that's fucking Luke."
Yeah.
And the OGs are like, the general audience is like, "That's Luke Skywalker. I know him. I don't know his story, but I know
who he is.
I recognize that green lightsaber. You know what I mean?"
Mm-hmm.
And so they move on and so forth. So I think they had it right with season 1 and 2, but season 3 is for the fans. So far, it's for the fans.
Yeah, I was kind of like, I wonder why it's not doing so well. And the first 2 episodes kind of were kind of slow for me, but the third one kind of picked up, and the fourth one was very like lore heavy, kind of lore heavy. So, like I said, Star Wars has been around for a while, and I think it will continue to thrive. I just think they need to figure out how they're gonna get people to watch when it's, you know, you got general audiences, you got Star Wars fans that dip their feet in, but you know they're not completely in, and then you got Star Wars fans who are completely dipped in and just like, I want to see more lore. You know what I mean? So it's just gonna be a battle with Star Wars. Hopefully, like I said, I think Star Wars as of right now is on a fucking ventilator. I think they're fighting for their life, so I'm hoping it does not die one of these days, and I hope one of these Star Wars movies is going to turn everything around and just pick it back up. For me, the shows have been doing good. I mean, I know like there's a lot of filler, like Bad Batch, there's some filler. I know Mando has a couple filler episodes too. Boba Fett was a filler show in general. I think that's something that they need to stop doing, and hopefully we can move on from there. But, you know, we're already at the end of this episode. We talked about as much as we can. If you guys want to discuss with us what you guys think about the future of Star Wars, if you think Mando's doing it right, if the Clone Wars are doing it right, go ahead and hit us up. Josh, let them know where they can hit us up if they want to let us know of anything that we should have been talking about but we didn't talk about on this episode, and how they can support us in a big way.
Twitter, TikTok, Instagram at FilmBros Podcast. You can just follow us there. We post kind of regularly clips and funny things we talk about. We post about other news.
We're gonna be driving more engagement up too.
Exactly. Just hit us up for any news or movies. Twitter, TikTok, Instagram at FilmBros Podcast. If you want to listen to us on the go, Spotify and Apple Podcasts at FilmBros Podcast. If you want to support us in a big way, Zippy Stream at FilmBros Podcast. All it takes is a name and email. You get a full catalog. The email lets you know when new episodes are up. So why not listen to us as soon as we post? And subscribe to our YouTube at FilmBros Podcast.
Yeah, and with that being said, we will talk to you guys on the next one.
Talk to you guys later.